So what I'm about to tell you guys is a story that I have, a personal story with Billy Ray Hobley himself. So it's kind of old. It's about 30 years ago, so I need to take you back to the 80s, the mid-80s, about 84, 85, something like that. I'm an 8-year-old boy, and I went to school at Valina C. Jones. That's right there on Galvez and Annette Street, and it was uniform day. And my mom had received a note from the school that was saying that it was going to be uniform day, and it was required that every child in school to wear a uniform that consisted of a white shirt and navy blue pants. And so, sounds simple enough, but you guys didn't know my mom. So my mom saw that as just another unnecessary school expense. She didn't see the safety piece of it, to kind of keep us away from getting kidnapped and things like that. She just saw that school expense. And so she was like, "Oh, baby, I love you, but I am not about to buy you a brand new uniform just to wear for one day out of the school year, because we can wear regular clothes all the rest of the days. This is just for one day." And so she gave me the hookup. You know that mama, that homemade version of a hookup? So I know everybody had that feeling. It wasn't quite, maybe a uniform for you guys, but it might have been that hamburger, that mama hamburger that was supposed to taste just like McDonald's, or that homemade mama version of her chicken that was supposed to taste like Popeyes. Not quite, right? So my mama's homemade version of a school uniform was this light blue sweater that had all these barnyard animals on it, right? And a white pair of pants, like the church pants with the cuff and the crease and everything, right? And so that's what she sent her baby to school on uniform day. And so if there was one day where I wished I was sick, you could have gave me the Zika virus and every virus you can think of. I wish I would have had it that day, because I did not want to go to school, right? And so I am just like sulking, going to school, walking. And as soon as I walk into the school, everybody's pointing and snickering, look at him. I stuck out like a sore thumb, ladies and gentlemen. And so I found my class, and it was an outside seminar, basically. And I found my teacher, and we all sat outside, and the uniform day celebration began. And so about an hour into the presentation, that's when our principal said he had a surprise for all of us kids. And so he talked about how, there was going to be a Globetrotter there. And so he called Billy Ray Hobley's name up. And all the kids started, "Yeah, Globetrotters!" And so he came up and he talked for maybe about 10 minutes or so, telling us to stay in school and things like that. And of course, he had to end with his finale about having a kid spinning the basketball on their finger. He was trying to say that any kid can do it, right? And so he started to scratch his chin and look out for that one kid who was going to be his volunteer to spin that ball on his finger, right? So who do you think he picked? The guy that stuck out like a sore thumb. But the good thing was I was so excited then, because all before that I was sulking, I'm mad, but now I'm up there, I'm on stage with the Globetrotter now, right? And so, he called me up, and I ran up real happy, grinning just from ear to ear. And so he, started spinning the ball on his finger, grabbed my hand, and, did the whole thing. Got me, I was just so elated to be that person that he picked. And there was news crews there, so I think it was Channel 6 and things like that. So I, had a blast knowing that when I came home, I was on TV that night. I'm like, "Oh, this is so cool." And so it didn't stop there, actually. And so after that part, the next thing he did was, it was recess time. And so he stayed the entire recess and played just exclusively with me. He taught me, how to dribble the basketball and, doing layups and free throws and things like this. And then right toward the end, when the bell rung, he went to the half court and started shooting from half court and hitting them every single time. Swish, swish, swish. And then he looks over at me, It's like, all right, little man, your turn. So he throws me the ball, and I'm like, all right, I get to shoot from half court at 8 years old, right? And so I threw with all my might, whoosh. And believe it or not, I missed that by a mile. I didn't get nowhere close to that goal, right? So I tried about 4 or 5 more times, and every time, nowhere close to the goal. So I got to a point where I was like, man, I quit. And that's when it got real serious. He got down on one knee and was still about 2 feet taller than me. And he looked down, looked me dead in my eyes. He was like, the last thing I ever want to hear you say, young man, is I quit. He started beginning to tell me a story, and he wanted me to remember a quote, basically, for the rest of my life. And so the quote that he gave me was, a big shot is nothing more than a little shot that kept on shooting. And so he had me say it multiple times to make sure that I got it, right? So I was just, a big shot is nothing more than a little shot that kept on shooting. I got it. And so he slapped my hat, he gave me a high five, and then that was my season with Billy Ray Hobley. But at the time, I felt like that was just, pertaining to basketball, right? But as I got older, and I'm going through all my little personal storms and things, I found myself going right back to that quote again. I was like, wow, this is a lot more than just basketball, right? This is life lessons right here. A big shot is nothing more than a little shot that kept on shooting. That quote got me through high school. I then went on to college, went and earned myself a master's degree, moved out to California. I'm a homeowner now. I'm a leader in my church. I say this speech to so many children, and I just got a chance to, write a letter to Miss Maddie right here, and she was so inspired by that story. And so the good part about that is that that's just my story. But tonight, you guys have the honor of keeping his legacy alive. I would encourage every single one of you, if you haven't already, to make those checks out to the Billy Ray Hobley Scholarship Fund, because that quote from me was my personal mantra. It still is my personal mantra. And so I won't ever forget it. The one thing that is missing is I wish I could have met him here 30 years now to tell him how inspiring he was for me. But this is the next best thing. I thank all of you for listening, and have a good night.